Welcome, friends. Welcome back to my hobby home. My name is Cathy. Happy Vlogmas Day 25. Merry Christmas to you and your family. I hope all your wishes and dreams are coming true. I hope you have all the joy and happiness coming your way. And I hope you are with friends and families. So friends, today, if you're with me, you're with a friend for sure. Today, I am going to be working on my Fat Quarter Shop's flowering block of the month, or it's a quilt along. This is block number 9. It's Sunflower Power Block. So I have already picked my fabrics out. I am smashing my stash with this. I did not buy the kit, so this is the colors I am using, and of course I'm using a white background. So we are going to get right on into it because there's a lot of half square triangles and that takes me a little bit of time. So right now we are taking just 2 fabrics. And I don't have my things labeled here. We are going to be taking this square and this square, or rectangle and square. And we are going to be making 4. So I am pulling 4 of these out. So I do not make too many of them. This is almost being constructed, or this one here, like a log cabin. And as always, we are sewing on 1/4 of an inch. Trying to see if my machine was, make sure I'm on everything correct. I've been embroidering and I may have something on here wrong. So I wanted to check and make sure I didn't have anything wrong on here. I know my needle's changed out. My needle's correct. Got my thread changed. I've got my plate changed. I've got my bobbin changed. I'm back into sewing mode. I do still have a few, I've got the body of all of my gingerbread men made, and I ran out of my stabilizer that I need. I have ordered it, but I am going to be able to finish the ones that have been ordered. And guys, it is Christmas Eve when I am recording this, and it is actually pretty late. I know it is after 9 o'clock because I called my daughter at 9 just to check to see how their Christmas was going to go tomorrow, because I know my daughter was worried that they only bought her son like 4 gifts. Really, that's all a 2-year-old needs, but I think they kind of had parent guilt, which there's no reason in that. And I told them that. I said, you know, he had a birthday, and now Christmas, you know, he already got a lot of gifts for his birthday. And I had already told them that, you know, as long as he's got one thing under that tree he can play with. And they did. They got him a bicycle, and they got him like a 3-in-1 little basketball set. That's all that baby needs. I'm not real sure why people think little children need a bunch of toys under the tree to be happy. He's a happy little boy anyway. Give him a ball. And he did get a ball. You know, he had a few little things under the tree. But I told my daughter, I said, that baby is going to be so overwhelmed with all the gifts that he has received for his birthday and Christmas that he's not going to play with anything. And she told me, she said, well, he's already broke most of the little cars that he got for his birthday. And like I told her, I said, well, that's good. That means he was playing with them, and that was the intended goal. And if they tore up, that's fine. Kids tear toys up. And most of them were little toys from Dollar General or somewhere like that. Nothing major. But I told her, I said, I have an extra of this here because I have both of my grandbabies the same amount of things, and in some cases the same exact thing, just one for a boy and one for a girl. And I told her, I said, if you need like a surprise gift under the tree from Santa, let me know. And because I told her, I said, I got 2 outfits, I can wrap those up. We got him a pair of boots, we can wrap those up. And I told her, I said, I can wrap an art set. I've got an extra art set that I can wrap up for him. And she's like, no, Mom, y'all got that for your Christmas. And I told her, I said, yeah, I kind of realized I overshopped. But, it is what it is. And, I don't worry about, that's my grandbabies, It's Christmas time and that's my grandbabies. I was kind of waiting on my husband to fuss at me about how much I bought, but he didn't. He bought just as much as I did, I'm thinking. But then we started talking about the house that my youngest daughter and her fiance are looking at buying. Yeah, I've got a cat under my feet, and I done rolled over on him once, and he's hissed at me. We are trying to acclimate the little kitten. Okay, Oscar. He's got his claws in my leg over here. We are trying to acclimate the younger kitten with the older kittens, and it's not going so well. We have a lot of hissing and spitting and sputtering and just general not liking it. They don't have a choice. But anyway, we were talking about the house that my daughter and her fiance, they're supposed to be going and signing papers on the 29th, and that's my daughter's birthday. And they're going to be moving a little over 30 minutes away from me in a completely different parish. I am not happy about it. And then I found out they're purchasing a home that's part of a family compound. That's the only thing I can call it. There's 3 houses on it. They all belong to part of the family, and there's another house on the property. I'm guessing it has been seized by the bank. It's a mobile home, and it's a newer mobile home, but they're wanting a lot of money for it. And I just can't see paying that kind of money for a mobile home. And I told her, I said, can I move over there by y'all if I buy that house? Because it is way out in the country, definitely in the country. And the funny thing is, we know the family that is selling the property. The one that owns it is, it was a father, a son, and then a granddaughter. And the granddaughter's home, I think the husband got relocated with his job or something, and the company he works for didn't do a relocation package. So they are having, technically, it got turned over to the bank. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's what happened. But I could be mistaken. I don't really recall. Their house is bank owned, so it's an REO property right now. And I told my daughter, I said, I'll call the bank and see if I can get them to do a short sale. I said, because y'all can't move that far away from me. But then I started thinking, what am I going to do with my property here? Because I can't sell my property. But the property I'm on right now is technically inherited land. It was my granddad's, and then my aunt's, and then I purchased it from my aunt when I bought my home. Y'all, I keep having to look down to make sure I'm not going to roll over my cat, because he just has to be underfoot. So it's something I really would not want to get rid of. and I really wouldn't want to rent it. And I actually thought about using this as my office, which would kind of defeat the purpose. I would be able to be close to my grandbaby, and I'd be in probably a bigger house. And I would be fine with that. I definitely need, even though it's just my husband and I, we need a bigger house. Even though we have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, we still need a bigger house. Not necessarily that we need more rooms, we just need more room. But I'll probably stay right where I'm at. I probably won't be going anywhere anytime soon. Not until I can see this paid off. And then I would keep the land, sell the house. Because this would still remain my business address. And there would be something right here. It would be some kind of little shop or something right here if we did that. Now we have, these are kind of like log cabin blocks looking to me, but they're not. They're the corners of our flowers. It's actually called the corner petal unit. So now what we are going to be doing is doing a left petal unit. And we are taking F and D, and we're making 4. So I'm just pulling 4 of them out of here. And guys, I think this may be some Lori Holt. I don't know what it is. I think it's Lori Holt, but I'm not real sure. It doesn't really matter to me whose line it is or whatever. So these we will be sewing from top right to bottom left. And then we will trim that off. Friends, y'all were getting this video on Christmas Day. I actually we do have somewhere to go. My little brother today, when we were doing Christmas Eve at my dad's house, my little brother invited us over to his house tomorrow. Or today, the day you're seeing it, on Christmas Day. They're doing traditional Christmas dinner, so we're going to go over there and have Christmas dinner with them. And my daughter, she said they would be opening Christmas gifts early in the morning, you know, with my grandson. And then they'll be going to her dad's house. I would love to go over there and see him opening gifts, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think my husband and I are going to opt to sleep in late. I think that's what we're going to opt to do. Sleep in until we have to go get up and get ready to go to my brother's house. You know, sometimes you just want a quiet day. I like quiet days. I don't get them very often, but tomorrow I am probably not going to be in my sewing room at all. Well, who am I lying to? I shouldn't fib to y'all. I know I'm going to be in my sewing room tomorrow. This is my quiet place. This is my easy place. So that's what I'll be doing. And guys, I know I don't have you where you can see here. Let me turn you down. You can't even see my table when I'm sewing. My goodness. I didn't realize you couldn't even see my table. So I'm sorry about that. Maybe you can see something now. But what I'm doing now is trimming these petal units. I have to remember which way I'm having to trim it. Now I will be doing 4 more, and they will go from top left to bottom right. is how we will sew those. I should have just done them all at the same time, I guess. I could have cut and pressed all of them at the same time. No, I would have gotten confused. Too easy to confuse me on that. And I don't want to get confused on that. That's why I find it easy. If I do each step individually, I don't get confused. It may take me longer to do that, but I can't be confusing myself on these steps that require me to cut them from one side to the other and do a set of 4 one way and a set of 4 the other way. So I can't confuse myself on those. But guys, I will keep y'all updated if there is going to be a change in the residential situation. But we got to find a way to pay this house off first, because like I said, I can't sell this place. But it would be a good storage site for us. And it would be a good place when my son and daughter-in-law come in to have a place to stay without having to stay with someone else. They could always come here and stay if we kept the house. Okay, friends, we have left pedal unit and right pedal unit done. Okay, friends, so we now have the right and left pedal units. And our next step is we take our squares, our big squares and little squares, and what I'm going to do is put one on each corner of the bottom of the larger square. We're going to put sort of like snowball it. I've noticed my cat has moved again. He is going to get run over back here. And we're making 4 of this one. So friends, let's see. What can we do? Let's talk about our most memorable, maybe not most memorable, but memorable Christmas tradition. When I was little, where I live right now, is part of my grandparents' property. This was owned by my grandparents. They farmed it. Where my property is used to be a tractor trail, because my granddaddy, he would take the tractor out, and he had a little trail around in the property where he would go and cut wood. They would clean the woods out every spring and fall, you know, mainly spring, because that's when they would start cutting their firewood that they needed for the next year, so it would be dry for the winter time. But we would also use this trail at Christmas time, going and hunting for our Christmas tree. And yes, we cut our own trees down. We didn't go to a Christmas tree farm. We did not have artificial Christmas trees growing up. We had the real deal, and we cut it out of the woods and brought it in on the trailer. My granddaddy had a little firewood trailer that he would tie that Christmas tree down on and bring it in. But that is one of my fondest memories. I loved going and getting that Christmas tree every year. And my granddaddy would wait for us to get out of school. Well, my older sister to get out of school. I was in school 1 year before we lost my granddaddy. But he would take us out there on that tractor in the trailer or the wood wagon. And I loved it. Now, like I said, this was where my grandparents lived. And then when I was about 14, my dad and stepmom built a house right next to the old home place, because the old house, there was an older house, then the old house, and then the house my dad lives in now. But the home place, you know, my dad and my stepmom built a house here, and we continued the tradition here when I was younger, because we moved here when I was going into 6th grade, I believe. But I just loved Christmases here on the farm. It was just so nice. You know, sometimes you just have those memories, and they're everything to you. That's why I would never sell my land. I would sell my house, but I would never sell my land, because my granddaddy worked hard to get this land here. So I would not do anything to get rid of this land. I would never get rid of this land. It would definitely stay in my family somehow, because I have just one little acre out of 119 acres that our family, we started with about 200 acres, and my granddaddy sold just a little under 100 acres to a gentleman that, they sold it to him to bring in an ag teacher for the local school. And that was how it happened. My granddaddy sold, you know, part of the land to get an ag teacher for him here. But they had an ag teacher, and thank goodness to my granddaddy, all the houses down the road past us has power, because one of the families that lived right on the road would not allow the power company to run poles on their property. So my granddaddy, kind-hearted as he was, he let the power company run power lines right slap through the middle of the property. So I know a little bit about like all of my family's history. Not an extreme amount. I do know that my great uncle, his name was Fred. He was the first baby born in Dubuque, Louisiana, and they actually wanted to name the town after my family's surname. But since there was already one somewhere else, they didn't, and named it Dubuque, I believe. But my grandmother and my granddaddy moved here to farm and to build the house that they lived in. My granddaddy tore down they lived in like a little old shed-like thing. And my granddaddy, it was an old shack house on the north end of our property. But my granddaddy tore down an old school building. Somebody needed it tore down. He got paid to tear it down, and they had him haul off the lumber. So he got paid to tear it down and take the lumber off, and he would take all of the nails out of the lumber and straighten the nails. So the old house was made out of an old schoolhouse lumber. that he had torn down. I don't even know how many of these I'm making. I guess until I run out. Let's see, I've got 4. So I'm making 16. So I've got 8. So that'll be right. Just do all 8 of them. But I've always been really interested, like in genealogy and family history. Now, as far as doing all of the research, I don't have time to do that. But I'm very interested in it. And our family does have what we call the family book. And it's about 1.5 inches thick. Our ancestry goes back a pretty decent way. I'm guessing they did really good record keeping. You know, my family did, my ancestors did, because we have a lot of records, you know, going back to when my granddaddy's grandparents came and settled in Louisiana. But I just thought it was really interesting, you know, all of the history of the family and how they came over. And the biggest portion of our ancestors, and if you look at the photos that we do have, all blue-eyed blondes. Blue-eyed blondes. Now, as they get older, their hair gets darker. Hence, I have darker hair. All, like my dad, he was a cotton top, blue-eyed blonde. I think, you know, as he started getting older, though, it started darkening up. And like we all did, you know, as children, though, we all had blonde hair. Every one of us. Except for my little sister. My little sister took after my mother's family. She had really dark auburn hair. My mother's family, my mother's grandmother, I believe on her daddy's side, was full-blooded Indian. And what tribe, I don't know. That part of my ancestry, I don't know a lot about. But I think my granddaddy's, or my papa, my mama's dad. My mama's dad was papa. My papa's mother was full-blooded Indian, if I'm not mistaken. And her last name was Crabtree. But I think at one time my mother had a lot of her genealogy done, which I think is fabulous. I mean, you know, you just have to research and do all of that. Now, guys, what we're making right now are the half square triangles for the, I call it the seed center. I'm not sure what the pattern calls it, but I will look to see what they do call it. Seed unit. Is what it's called, so I wasn't too far off. Friends, I now have all of these half square triangles completed. They're trimmed and everything is ready, so now we have to sew these 4 across and then 4 down. We got to make sure everything is turned exactly the same here. I'm not really too worried about points or anything because everything measured out exactly how it needed to measure out. And you're going to have a seam on either corner you go, so might as well just go, you know, from top to bottom. You know, I think what I'm going to do is just keep sewing all of these just like this and just get them into units of 2s. I know how they're supposed to go, so why not? Maybe make it a little quicker on myself. I think my husband may already be asleep, because it sounds like he's snoring in there. Sounds like he fell asleep at his game, and it probably is after 11 o'clock. Very easily possibility here, because I do know I have been sewing more than an hour, because when I hit an hour I have to cut my camera off and start another video. I'm getting to where I just do an hour long and then restart it, just so there's no confusion, because I'll only be able to edit 1 hour section at a time and then pull them together. For some reason my machine is wanting to pull these down. I think what it is, I have those seams, and I think that's kind of pulling down in the feed dog area, or my feet area. Okay, these are our last 2 that we will put together. These will be a row ender or a row beginner. It's either going to be the first 2 or the last 2 on a row. So what I'm going to do now, I'm not even going to press. I'm going to just open this one up and put another unit of 2 onto this to make a row of 4. And that's what we need to make, is our row of 4. I want to make sure to get these fabrics lined up perfectly. So we'll go to our next set of 2 and put us 2 more on that one. Okay guys, now we are assembling our rows here for our seed unit, and I have pressed the seams on these alternating so I can actually nest, and that will make it a whole lot easier to sew these rows together. Now in the pattern it shows pressing the seams on this open. On a 1/4 inch seam, I can't press those open. Those are just too small for me to be able to get a hold of, and it's actually a little difficult to nest them too, but we're getting that done. And you know, when you have half square triangles, that is just it's going to take it just a little bit longer to complete that unit or that block that you're working on. So I fully anticipate this block to be a good 2.5 hours. And I know it is probably Christmas Day, guys. It's probably after midnight. It could be after midnight. It could only be 11. I don't know. I don't have my watch on today. I took it off when I came home because I had to get some dishes done from prepping my chili. I had to get things done. Even though I still have my rings on, I put them back on after I washed dishes. I forgot to put my watch on. Okay, so we have 2 rows done. We are about to put our 3rd row on, and it doesn't tell us. Oh, it says press open, not press and open. Sorry. I'm going to put this to the top one because it does nest with the top one. Guys, I'm guessing the day you're watching this is the day I'm actually putting my Christmas tree up, and it is Christmas Day. But I did find out today that there may be plans for my children to stay with my oldest daughter instead of coming here, but I'm still going to try to have everything ready for them in case they do decide to come and stay here. Plus, I want to get my house cleaned out, guys. I want to get everything in here cleaned out. So let's see about our next row. I'm going to start it on this end down here, nesting, because it gets pretty difficult to nest. And we had a really nice day today at my dad's house. My daughter's fiance made a vegetable beef soup, and I made a chili. And my daughter brought stuff to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, because just in case my grandson wouldn't eat the soup, he'll eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But my older sister, she brought some chicken salad sandwiches and some ham and cheese sandwiches, and I'm trying to think what my sister-in-law brought. I think she brought like some Doritos or something like that. Okay, so now we have this unit completely done. This is our seed unit. Now our seed unit is completed. So now it's time for us to assemble the block. So we will take one of our, looks like log cabins again, and one of our, oh, I didn't finish this step, guys. I was supposed to take these and put one of these on each side of them. My goodness. Well, let me lay them how they're supposed to go. I should have known I was forgetting something there. Well, I thought I was just about done. Thought it was time to assemble. Okay, friends, I have that middle section done now. So let's get these pieced together. Can't believe I forgot that. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. I really can. So what we're doing is just going to do the first two pieces of each row. And let's see. Of course, that. And I will just say this. Make sure to measure and trim your pieces for this one. This one definitely needs to make sure everything is the exact size. Now, I mean, are mine coming out perfect? No, they're not. They're not at all. But I'm not really too worried about it because, you know, in the overall scheme of things, you can't really tell that it's not. And when this gets put together in the larger quilt, you won't be able to see things like that in it. Okay, so now I am putting the last two pieces for the bottom row here now. Okay, so now we're putting our last block on. Thought I heard my kitty cat coughing. And now our last row. And guys, I'm playing bobbin chicken right now. My little bobbin light is flashing, letting me know that my bobbin is low. And I'm hoping to use up this large spool of superior thread that I have been using to sew with since about June or July. And all of my quilts and everything I've done, I've used this. I'm going to press and then we're going to put this block together. Okay, friends, I have all of my rows completely done. We just have to put them together. I'm starting, I don't know, I guess this could be the top row, the bottom row, in the center. It's one or the other. But it does look like I have to nest some seams here. I have a lot of seams right here that I do need to nest. You do want to nest, and I dare say pin. If you're really good at this, you don't have to pin. I'm not really good at it, so I'm going to pin where my seams come together. Okay, that's 2 rows put together. Now for our last one. And once I get this put on, I will press and we will come back and look at this together to see how our sunflower power block has done. I'm thinking that's what it's called. It has been an easy block, but not a fast block, because we are looking at 2 hours right now. And I just like to tell y'all how long this block took me, so if y'all are going to be doing it, you kind of know a time frame to anticipate it to take to get it done. I must say this is probably the longest one that it's taken me to do. But it's just because of all the half square triangles. It was nothing hard. It's just a lot of half square triangles that needed to be trimmed up. Cut and trimmed. And when you, if you don't trim your half square triangles, they're not going to be the correct size. So just know that with this pattern. If you do a half square triangle, it is not going to be the correct size if you do not trim it. And friends, just like that, we have block 9 done. This is our Fat Quarter Shop block 9. And guys, I was corrected about the Fat Quarter Shop quilt along. I was told that it is a 12-month quilt along, so these will continue on into the new year. I don't know why I thought these ended in December. No, it wouldn't end in December. It would end in, okay, so a 12-month go through like March. So this is block 9, Sunflower Power Block. We have completed that. One more off our list, check. We like getting things off our list, don't we? Here we go. So friends, thank you once again for joining me. Please give me a thumbs up before you head out. If you have not yet subscribed, please do. Feel free to leave a comment and tell me what you think. I do try to respond to each and every comment personally. And as always, until I see you again, I hope you have a very blessed day and a very Merry Christmas. Bye, friends.
We wish